So, yes, welcome. This is Santa joined by Aggressive, and we are gonna be your storytellers for today's cup. And we will be taking you further through the matches of Rainbow Six Siege. Be excited, be joined with us. And if you haven't yet followed on the socials, kindly follow the socials so that you get notified about the further action that's gonna get unfolded. Today we are gonna see a BO3 series between the best of the teams, and the teams are ready, the players are ready, we casters are ready. Over to Aggressive.
Yeah, thank you so much for that one. And I do believe that there was a little bit of an issue coming in from my side. Nothing I can really do about it. You know how it
Happens.
is on the production side, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes,
from time
that's
to
that
time.
happens.
So, jumping on back in towards exactly what I was trying to say, welcome back to the CGX Community Cup Season 3, ladies and gentlemen. But then again, like, we've been through all 2 seasons of this already, 2 seasons of high intense action for Siege. And of course, with so many of the teams now playing through, in India in particular, Siege has now currently taken over quite a bit with so many tournaments
Yes.
popping up pretty much everywhere. This year is pretty much the year for Siege here in our region. That is for certain. I'm really excited for this one. That is for sure. But with season number 3 now, there's going to be a lot more other teams that are going to be showing up in front of your screens as well. Today, we have two such teams, two new teams, I do believe, other than one, of course, which will be Team Allegiance going up against Won't Stop Peaking.
Yes, indeed. So looking forward for these teams to unleash the action on each other, and we got to see how they are going to perform the matches on these maps. Rightly mentioned by you that we need more Cs in the region so that more players join and have fun of the game. We have seen it on the other regions, and we are pretty much sure that even we would capitalize the most out of it.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see exactly what these teams are going to be bringing onto the table too, because both of these squads, especially when you look at the side of Won't Stop Peaking, they do have players that are incredible on their roster, but with so
Hmm.
many of the different variables that you have to think about as well, as we are going to be jumping on down over to the event format one more time to just talk like with
All
single
right, so it's
elimination
going.
format.
Hmm.
With a single elimination
Go
format, you
on.
can already tell that it's been pretty rough for these teams because they had to go through so much to get to this point, and without any form of a safety net of that lower bracket run, it's tough.
Yes, indeed, no safety net. So it's all like one go. So the first attempt itself has to be the best of the best. There is no comeback, and you have to give all that you got in those rounds. So make sure that you're getting your best formations and the operators in place, and the plan that you implement has to be on point without any kind of questions asked. All that would be unleashed once we get into the match, which would be very very shortly. So yes, the 5v5 format and the game mode. Let's see how it's gonna happen for this Community Cup season 3. 2 seasons done, third season. Look forward for more. And as I mentioned earlier, please follow us on the social so that you get notified about the further action.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see which of these teams are going to be the one to take this 50k INR prize pool to their name. First place, of course, getting 25k INR. Second one being 15, and with the third being 10k. So even if you're on the fourth, fifth, or sixth place position, you still get something. You get 6,000 R6 credits each that you can divide amongst the teams. So it's a lot of moolah on the line, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, even if you don't get the cash prize, you can get all of those big, beautiful skins inside of the game. And of course, with the Valkyrie legendary already on the card, so you gotta go in and grab it.
So here we go. These are the teams that are in the semi-finals. We have Team Allegiance gonna fight against Won't Stop Peaking. So how much peak would they make, and how exactly Allegiance is going to get the best out of us would be a question, and that will be answered pretty shortly. You don't have to wait for long. I'm certain that they came with a pretty good plan of action.
With the videos coming up in front of your screens too, ladies and gentlemen, we can already see that the map selection is a little bit swayed in the favor of Won't Stop Peaking considering what they do have. But one of the more funniest points I would say is with Nighthaven Labs being present, with Border also being taken away, and with Lair also being taken into consideration, it's gonna be a little bit of a fun part to say the very least, because with Lair
Yes.
being that third and final map, I'm kind of worried on what's gonna happen to the members of Allegiance, because this is generally a pickup that was taken by the members of Won't Stop Peaking. So when you have Chalet and Lair as the last two maps, to pick Lair, you have to be a different beast entirely, or you have a game plan in your mind that will put your opposition in a very, I would say, uncomfortable situation.
See, I'll be the noob over here because I haven't seen a lot of action of late. I have saw Nighthaven Labs and Border, so it should be you who should point out. Like as you already said, if it is Chalet, it could have been a different thing altogether. But picking Lair kind of gives you an edge or something. And ladies and gentlemen, here we have our players. Team Allegiance gonna play with Lost in Solitude, Oreo, Spartan, Phoenix, and Melacron. On the other front, WSP gonna play with Vinci, Buckinator, Desmond Disciple, and I am Noob. Okay, let's see if the player literally is that or something else, because these kind of names we always see some surprise.
Yep. All these players now. One of the other things that I would like to highlight is when it comes down to the region, our region in particular, the bans are a little bit more different in comparison to the other ones, where Monty, Blitz is the primary bans. On other regions, with some places banning out Grim as well, because Grim is such a prominent operator currently in this particular meta. We, on the other hand, rely a little bit more on denying those form of hard breaches, because generally it can be seen that if you're able to break open a wall, at least in our region, you instantly are able to take over the entire map. And denying that first initial entry is one of the key points for a lot of these players to really have. But looking back to the other side, right, you can already tell that the map, the bans coming in for the ops as well are highlighting that in particular. You're taking off the bandit, you're taking off the Kaid, Ace and Thermite are also taken off the board instantly from the members of Wont Stop Peaking. Now, what are the other forms of hard breach that they can do? It's generally the exothermic charges. No other character is going to be able to break open the wall to that degree as these two characters could. So this is where the members of Wont Stop Peaking are really trying to play for. They're trying to create small entry points for these attackers, so they can't easily entry themselves on towards the site anymore. They have to take those gunfights against them. And according to their namesake, Wont Stop Peaking, they are a team that love to take a lot more gunfights generally. And looking at this overall setup that they're trying to go for with their operator selection, all of them are really actively trying to take those fights. With the Valkyrie, with the Warden, and the Azami also coming onto the board, they're gonna try to take as many cheeky angles as they possibly can to try and shut down ALG before they get themselves into the building.
Yes, of course, it's all about those cheeky angles, and how exactly it's gonna get countered also makes a bit of difference. Whether that's in the place or not, have to just see. Here the action begins, and right in the beginning we see a bit of positioning from both the ends, and I'm kind of excited for the C4 play. That's going to make a big time difference as well. So just the beginning, so it would be really difficult to say who gets the best out of the other, but looking at the way the angles have been approached, I'm kind of excited to see and can say that Allegiance might get the better out of it.
Yeah, we're gonna need to see where they're gonna go with this one, especially with Valkyrie's positioning down over towards Connector. Can play for a much more slower-ended position, that is for certain. With Maverick now opening up the frontal wall, nothing really to try and stop him as well. The Maverick's just gonna go to town on this one. Possibly a C4 could be tossed, but no one's really trying to fight that angle in particular. That's gonna be the side of IT completely getting opened in. Exothermic charges over towards the bottom floor onto the garage side. Does get a C4 getting tossed in the corner. Doesn't really take a lot of damage, but he baits out a good amount of utility. 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock as members of Allegiance are slowly working their way in. But the thing is, they've lost a lot of utility in the process. But for the defenders, they're just relaxing onto this particular sideline as the walls have yet to be opened up completely, and the player coming in from the bottom floors have yet to make their first opening move.
Interesting moves indeed, and just like that, a little bit of damage being dished out. I'm slightly worried about the SMGs that's gonna be in action. Utilities being disabled, and both the ends playing quite cautiously right in the beginning, not gonna give an overstep. Oh, that could have been a troublesome. The setup on the other front, waiting for the quick peek, not gonna get denied over here. And meanwhile, both the ops going in. Man, this is where Vinci walks in with a bang. I have always been a sucker for the stun gun, and that covers. Okay, an equalizer, a 4v4 situation. I think that Solitude might get into trouble, but meanwhile, Buccaneer as well contributing a lot more. Ooh, that happened.
Yeah, they got some good space going for themselves. Azami now looking for that first initial engagement on the player coming in from the breach. He's not going to be able to get anything done, and it's going to be the Frost who goes in for the last and final kill from the sidelines. Good couple of picks here, that's for certain. And a hairline of a pixel that he's able to spot out from the side of Allegiance. And this is kind of the problem, right? Our region as a whole, if you take away these hard breaches, it's tough for them to really work out the map, especially on Night Haven Labs, where every other position that you can entry from that is not a hard breach is generally, how do you put it? it's not that easy to break through those lines. You need to have proper team play and coordination, possibly a Dokkaebi to go in for the early calls. That's exactly what the members of the Legions are doing here. You need information to try and make these entries happen. And the way that Won't Stop Peaking actually played as well is they didn't really spread themselves out as much. They tried to play inside of the side. They were not giving those early peaks away because they understood that Legions, they are going to need to be the ones who walks in through these open corridors where we as defenders, we're just going to have the advantage by holding on to those spots. And I didn't see a single situation where the members of Won't Stop Peaking really felt uncomfortable in the way that they were standing. This is what you want to see when Siege is being played at such a high level. And when the stakes are so high, you don't have that lower bracket run as well. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And Allegiance, they made that first mistake, but hopefully they're gonna be able to come on back in this particular round because those mistakes are gonna add up soon, and you don't want it to snowball out of control.
Very well mentioned. So no mistakes indeed, and that's where the team has to play like a team, and the coordination is what makes it all happen. The quick wrap up and in the entire play being concentrated on the upper levels. Got to see if the breach can be quite possible from here on on. And on the other front, with the camps, yes indeed, here where is when Valkyrie gets the best out of the situation. I'm still waiting for the C4 play to happen. Quite often on Nighthaven Labs, you see that C4 action is something, not just in Nighthavens, as a matter of fact, in the other maps as well. So waiting for it. And also the stun, it's not gonna leave any mark.
It's just a waiting game at this point. As both teams pretty much a calm before the storm here as the members of the Legions. They made a little bit of ground here, but then again, you have to remember that the side is all the way towards the bottom floor. Tank and Exo being one of those rooms that are very difficult to break into unless you have proper vertical lines of sight being created. Ram not really being utilized for this particular site is a little bit questionable. No Ram, no Buck. They do have a Sledge to play for those verticals, but he's not going to be able to find as much as you could have hoped for. You're a little bit more reliant on those doping calls to give you that first line of information to get those openers. Mira does take a slight bit of damage here from the vertical lines of sight. The Sledge really doing the work here for the openers, but even then, it's not going to be as simple as you'd have hoped for. Positions are good. They are a little bit better here. Mira able to relocate into a better spot. This Sledge still trying to fish out at least one of these kills. They need that one frag from this vertical lines of sight to really make this one work for themselves. Breaches though from either side of things. They're able to find a slight bit of an opener. Good damage from the sidelines. That's going to be the Dokkaebi now falling. Instantaneous trades as well, as that's going to be another one to fall. Both sides now equalize things out. 4v4 across the entire map, but only 40 seconds left on the clock. The defenders, they're still the ones at the advantage.
While Disciple so low on health still managed to defend a little bit. On the other front, Spartans took a bit of the grunt on the situation, and this leads to the mark. One more goes down, and Spartan did not expect right along with Oreo. It's a 2v4 down to 1. And the last one, would he be able to get it done? Remains as a question. Not gonna be possible, covered from both angles. One more peak and it's going to be quite troublesome. While the utility dump definitely working in, and the banger coming on the other front, McLaren. Quite a troublesome scenario, and time not gonna work for the favor. Tried to get a frag out of it, but Vinci making it done for the team. A total annihilation factor from the other front.
It's just a yikes moment coming through from the members of ALG here, as their entire team just kind of funneled through one singular position. They didn't really have a strong form of vertical play either, playing the Sledge in this situation, or you could have gone in for a Ram instead, or even a Buck to just play those vertical lines of sight even faster. Like, I get it, yeah, the Sledge is going to be able to surgically open up a lot of the flooring utilizing the Dokkaebi calls, so you don't expose yourself that much as one of the attackers. But what you're going to do if you're not able to find that opening, what are you going to do if you need to open up more lines of sight and you just end up exposing yourself in more ways than one? It's tough, but like, there are certain ops that you need to play on Nighthaven Labs, otherwise you're not going to be able to do that much for your team. Ram and Buck is one of the key points to have on that basement side, and because there are no hard breaches, you can't really push yourself from the side of the, I forgot the name of that zone. It's like that exit point where people can go in from the underground. I forgot the exact name. It looks like a dog.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can take that other entry point onto the side as well, because you don't have those hard breaches. And if they have a mute jammer present in that particular angle, unless you have a Kali, good luck trying to break through that one.
Well mentioned, yes, indeed, and that needs to be covered. Got to make a plan for the same. Spartans making an entry point, attempted and sort of got into a trouble. McLaren as well on the other front, good rotations. Meanwhile, I'm still waiting for the action to get unfold as we've spoken about. WSP so far being the defenders, it doesn't seem like, they are the defenders. They are slightly aggressive on the front and got the first 2 rounds into their name. Another 3, and it's kind of like a domination factor on the Ren totally. So who peaks whom makes the big time difference, and Allegiance is kind of falling into the trap. And the Claymore, I'm not quite certain if that's the right.
Good shots though from either side. They're going to be able to find an instantaneous trade off, and that's perfect for them. They traded a Frost for a Grim. I would take that trade any day of the week, considering the Frost. Yeah, of course, the Frost plants are already on the floor. She already utilized all the utility that was necessary to be on the maps, but on the Grim on the other side, not having those bees just buzzing around, revealing out players, or even controlling a singular entry point, you don't want to be in a position like this. So this is going to be tough for the members of ALG to really break their entry through, and you can already tell these are the first openers. Instantly, Desmond does get the kill, tries to run on away, should be the one to survive, but no. He's trying to be even more aggressive. This Azami in particular is really hunting down these kills.
Yes, it's a hunt for sure, and it's a 3v4 scenario. I'm waiting for Spartan to make the move and be the hunter rather than getting hunted one more time. And if this round tilts again into the favor of WSP, it's like in domination. And seems as if they are not gonna leave that room of error for Allegiance to take any kind of domination. While on the other front, attempting for the same, 40 seconds on the clock, it's gonna be a quick peek and a denial. What? On the other front, it's a trap that's being set. And seems as if slowly Allegiance is walking into it. And it's not gonna be a big one. The pancakes are here. It's gonna provide a little bit of defense, not much. The site completely under the control, and it's looking quite devastating. Yes, the verticality definitely working in the favor. It's just a quick peek and tried. The pixel connection did not happen. The stunner, this is going to leave a mark. The pre-placed defenses, but Perkinator gets the best out of it. Or you're on again. It's McLaren, the last one standing. Can you get it done? With Spartan gone, taking it single-handedly, not gonna be easy. And WSP making it done. The time not working in the favor. Had it been a little more, just a little more, probably McLaren could have got it done. I'm sorry, it's Milacron. Sorry to mispronounce the name. So 0-3 on the board. With the switch, I might expect a little bit of change. Till that point of time, I need to be skeptical till that point.
Yeah, this is just a little bit more of a problem here, ladies and gentlemen. As the members of Won't Stop Peaking are just... how do you put it? Like, they just have a much more tighter hold on this defensive side. You can see that the members of ALG are just in a world of hurt, and in a lot of different ways, their team is just in a better. How do I put it? ALG are trying things that are outside of the box in some instances, but at the same time, they're playing Siege in a very old-fashioned way. This doesn't feel like the Siege that we played in 2025, with a lot of the utility, with so many of the different agents that make, so many of the different ops that make life easier for you as an attacker. There's no Dokkaebi getting picked up. Where is your Buck? Where is your Ram? There are certain things you need to have now in Siege that you didn't really need to have before. Fuse is going to get taken onto the board, but with the side being the top floor over onto the command center, and servers, like, what's the game plan here? What are you really getting by playing the Fuse in this particular instance? Because yeah, you get a couple of windows here and there, but the Fuse is not going to be able to break a lot of utility in these particular rounds of sight.
Okay, so is it so? I mean, I have seen this happening on the other play. The team kind of levies a little bit of advantage on the other front, and the moment they find that room, they work it ahead. So if we see, meanwhile, see, look at that. So while the beginning shots landed, can you continue or not? And I believe it's kind of like a misstep from Disciple, miscalculation, and that shouldn't continue.
Yeah, that's for certain. The members of Won't Stop Peeking kind of getting shit down here for the first time, being a little bit too overly aggressive. The spawn peak not really working out in favor of the Warden whatsoever. And they're expecting that engagement. The mute jammer is now causing some problems here already. Yeah, this is what I technically meant, right? As soon as you pick up that mute, you need to play for the vertical lines of sight to try and break through those first initial openers. You do have a little bit to play around with. Gridlock now holding down the lines on the opposite side of this. As for the opening push, he's already in towards the side of lobby stairs, completely blocking off any rotations that could be coming through from the roamers. They're looking for the initial engagement, and they're going to be able to do so. How about the shots here as well, with the Grim now utilizing the Beast to just spot out any one of these stray defenders over towards the corner of Electrical. And having these positioned will be so key. The Buck playing it dangerous in an angle, possibly for the opener kill. They don't know exactly where this is. The Frost tries to find, not going to be able to find the cat, so the Buck survives by the sin of his seed, and he's still going to be able to cause a little bit of havoc from the downstairs position. Now, this is the level of gameplay that we wanted to see coming in from the members of ALG. They're playing it smart, and they're taking good map control overall. This second side hold, or this second floor hold, sorry, is not going to be that easy anymore for the members of WSP.
So you know what, this makes me feel as if the first 3 rounds were kind of like a test run, or maybe, you know, they tried, attempted, that did not work, and now that they have a bit of intel, they are primarily making it possible through round number 4. The manpower advantage definitely not gonna work, and Oreo falling down by one more. There's the C4 play. How did I miss that? The chuck happened, and with this the advantage. Now it's a 3v2. And just like that, Vinci about to go down, they might. Yes, there we go. The primary player back in action. It's a 3v3, and with that health left out, Vinci is still deadly.
So with Gridlock taking a lot of damage in towards the back too, trying to make the entrance work. Sparking good for the kill. Nade was there, but a big catch over from the sidelines. Another big kill to find on the end, and now it's all up to the Valkyrie, the MPX, co-op and present. Good shots from the sidelines. They're looking to isolate a couple of these fights here, but the position already viewed. Big Spartan completely unnecessary for the duel. He's gonna try to look for the fight in towards the sidelines, and it's Buckinator to go in for the final kill. Beautiful shots reach line, and the members of ALG, this was just super questionable. Why in the name of God did you peek out of the doorway, son? You didn't need to do a damn thing. You could have just waited for your teammate to be that first line of contact, and then you opt to go in for that kill, because the player sitting, proning behind that one particular piece of cover needs to stand up to go in for the kill, pushing in from the side of command center. But instead, you push in from Electrical doorway for what goddamn reason? You isolated yourself, gave a free 1v1 over to Buckinator, allowed him to go in for a clutch like this. 0-4, ladies and gentlemen, as WSP, they're just playing around with their food at this point.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Oh, okay. What I felt as if, you know, yes, indeed it was a very wrong peak and a move. Kind of, you know, left themselves totally undefended, and it was pretty easy for Buckinator to get that 1v2 and the round to the team's name. I have to totally agree with you, and with the mention that you have said over there. Having said that, probably it's the heat of the situation where Allegiance is kind of like crumbling down. They have to get the nerves under the control. They have to play a bit of cool, calm game. Maybe take one round just to again assess the situation and then come back. A comeback is definitely needed over here for the team.
This is just a difficult scenario and a half for you to be in. This mistakes made already, you can tell. Maybe a little bit too little too late. They finally picked up on that ram, on the Dokupi, on this fuse as well. So finally we might see a little bit of a change up for their overall luck here. Because the utility is there for them to really hold on to these lines. Striker will get picked up. Slight bit questionable on why picking up a striker is necessary for this particular side, but maybe for the hatches, right? You want to open up everything with those exothermic charges, but you can also do that with the fuse. So don't know exactly what the option for the striker is going to look like, possibly for the EMP. Sorry, I kind of forget about that the striker can equip those EMPs and get a little bit of the openers going, but for now you can tell that the members of Won't Stop Peaking, they're just playing for the long game here. They're not going to be as overly aggressive anymore. They understand that, hey, ALG, they're making a lot of mistakes. Let's just wait until they make it so I can fully break them down in more ways than one. But for the overall timing, the first initial hatches aren't going to get opened up. And ALG, they'll find that initial point of entry that they were looking for. And look at the positioning coming in from the cap can all the way towards the top floor. Can cause some problems, create some damage too from those sidelines. They just need to play it smart. And as long as that cap can's just there, present, lurking around, they're going to need to worry about so much.
Oh, it's going to be quite a bit of play. Both the ends assessing each other, finding that little bit of Q and the verticality working in the favor, but quickly moving in. Definitely that was a corner that need not be Vinci as well. Slight bit of trouble. Phoenix on the other front took a little bit of gun, wherein can manage it through. Have to get the round to their name, and Buckinator standing quite strong so far. 0-4 being the scenario. And looking at the situation, I'm kind of like going into the favor of WSP. It can be the 5th victory for them as well, if at all he doesn't make it happen. And here comes the play. I'm still waiting for the C4 to be chucked on. 5v4, one more, about to be deleted off the mark. Phoenix in big time trouble. Vinci was also in a bit of trouble from front, but Buckinator walks in with a long range. There we go, Solitude and Vinci getting it done for the team. It's all up to Oreo and Solitude.
Yeah, the basics of Siege is just not as present as you would have wanted it to be. They're making a lot of very simple mistakes, and these mistakes are turning it up one after the next. They're just going to try to doubly key their way in towards the side. Doesn't know the position. The Maestro Captain causing some problems. It comes in close for an instantaneous shot. A hip fire, I do believe, because, yeah, he's not even going to try to scope in for that one. It's just a tough situation because the members of WSP, they're just playing this map better. And it's kind of expected, right? You're making mistake after mistake. You didn't send any of the players on towards the second floor position to clear out any of the roamers. You just beelined it onto that first floor thinking that, hey, we're just going to get a free vertical position. No, that's not going to be the case. There's, of course, going to be players on the opposite side who are going to cause problems for you. And ALG, they just are falling into a trap that they can't get themselves out of. They've dug themselves into a ditch at this point, 0-5. Possibly even a 0-6 here going into match point. If they don't win out on this round, they need a little bit of a safety net because, yeah, the defensive side is a little bit easier when you consider Nighthaven Labs to have so many different options for you as a defender. But looking at how things have been going, WSP, they have a strong plan going into the attack side as well, I do believe.
Yes, I have to agree on that. So probably with the side switch can or may bring a bit of change into the play, and at the same point of time, yes, the operator selection, etc., that all makes a lot of mark onto the play of Allegiance. WSP on the other front, they are quite comfortable with Frost, Maestro, Melusi, Scopos and Goyo. I think this is the second or third time I'm seeing this composition. And on the other front, going with Nomad, Fuse against Sledge. You have just mentioned about Sledge like a couple rounds ago. Maybe they are comfortable with the operator. And you know what I reserve, it makes me feel and kind of like understanding that they are going with the older meta and not the current one.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why. Even I think that ALG are a team that are kind of coming back into CGX as well. and they haven't really tried and tested out a lot of the older tried out a lot of the newer ops, sorry, just yet. And as soon as they do, they will look like a better team. But currently, WSP are just beating him in all fronts at this point. Mistake after mistake, round after round, where they're kind of just falling apart here in every singular instance. And you don't really want to see this now, do you? Mistakes were made, options were not really as clear as you would have hoped for, while members of ALG, what are they thinking? What do they want to do for this particular round in an instance? Flores will get taken onto the board as well, just to clear out a lot of these very annoying bits of utility that are present, especially those Maestro cams. They've been a thorn on their sides for those for that last round in particular, so taking that off the board is going to be a big help for them. And overall, WSP, they're answering back in kind. Like, they're a couple of steps ahead on anything that ALG are trying to do, and that's what's giving them such a significant advantage.
Couple of steps ahead, yes, indeed. So with Ying in play, and let me ask you this: if it's not Sledge along with Hibana, what would be a better pick compared to this?
It really does depend on the side, but with the side being okay, now this is a little bit interesting because it's going to be kitchen and cafeteria, which is getting picked up. A side that is generally not taken on this map in particular, because teams generally don't get this far right. The 0-5 scoreline, especially on Night Haven Labs, is just kind of unheard of, and this is probably the first time I'm ever going to see this side. Let it be on ranked or even in professional levels of play. So I'm kind of interested to see what this side is going to look like too, and where they're going to be playing this, because this is not really going to be my cup of tea. So I'm going to let the players really analyze this one, try to figure everything out. But a very general setup with the Sledge, with the Ying, with the Flores and Hibana, not really the worst of plans, right? If you take this side, you play with what you get. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, the members of WSP, they picked out on a bunch of different roamers. They're not going to be playing for side anchors, and they're going to be forcefully making their opposition make choices instead.
Right, so it's time that, they have tested the waters or whatever they have attempted in the first 3-4 rounds, and now that the situation demands that you need to get into that victorious mode. 0-5, it's high time that Team Allegiance has to get that victory onto the names. I can't even ask for an equalizer at the situation, but if they can manage to get it done, that's a different thing altogether, and I have seen that happening in R6, so I'm kind of hopeful a little bit for the team, and let's see if they can get it done. How exactly that's going to get unfolded in this particular round, and we go the preparation phase. So get the right setup, Allegiance, and make the best entry points. It's gonna be an interesting round for sure. And 2 C4s in play. Nice.
Located by attackers.
New feed active.
You gotta see where it goes for this one. ALG looking to be that team that really goes in for the turnaround here. First time I'm actually seeing this site ever. It's very tiny, like, honestly speaking. I understand why most people don't really want to take these two sites in particular, because they're right next to one another, singular entry point, possibly the rotations are not going to be looking that good either. It's tough, I can already tell. And I'm going to see areas of the map that I haven't really seen before in the past, as Mute goes in for the instantaneous push out. He's going to be able to get the hatch as well, cut off a lot of the rotations that the members of ALG could go for. A very important hatch to reinforce as well, ladies and gentlemen. If you're playing from the top 4 positions and take that risk, that's completely fine and dandy. But look at the positioning from the Jaeger. Tries to go in for the kill. He's not going to be able to find it though. Survives, but it's going to see the attackers. They're looking to get slight bits of an advantage, and they should be the ones to get it, with the extremities being controlled up well enough. now it's a calm before the storm as the members of ALG are scrambling around to just get established presence across the entire map, but never mind, Disciple, beautiful kill with the SMG-11. One taps galore, looks for another one, but the Jaeger in position and is ready to go in for the instant fight and the kill. And the Jaeger's position is still, no one swings out across the corner, not going to be able to find it though. Instantly gets shut down, and that's going to be 2 bodies off the board. The members of ALG finally fighting back hard. And with that opener, WSP, they have to take a little bit more of a slower ended side.
Yes, indeed, with Disciple and Desmond off the mark, but still we got Buccaneer along with Vinci. They have been doing phenomenal along their positioning. Quite close quarters, just now. The peak is all that's needed, but seems as if a reposition happened and the count in place too. The quick peaks is where the entire situation gonna turn up, and WSP holding beautiful angle so far. ALG on the other front, they are gathering the intel, gonna see if that can continue for long or not. But meanwhile, as rightly mentioned, one more, no more solitude on the other front. Seems as if ALG, this is the first victory for them, almost.
Can't count the chickens before they hatch here, though. They have to be careful on how much they're going to be excited for this one, because the Frost and the Legion are still alive and kicking. One more good kill is all that they need for that initial instance. This particular side, so difficult to hold on to. The breach is in position. Good shots, though, from the sidelines. That's going to be another big kill to come in from the side of the floor, as now everyone's just going to be converging onto this sidelines. Flash comes through. Good opener kill for the Legion here, but Noob still needs to work out a wonder if he wants to try and bring this one back. Good for another kill. Being Candelas to just try and give away his position, but not really over just yet. Someone needs to play from the opposite side. Shotgun to open up the front lines. Needs to look for this kill. Still given a chance and an opportunity. Tries to go in for the run around. One towards the top. He heard the rappel. Then that's going to be big. On the outside wall, there's too many different angles that he has to worry about. Looks towards the back line. The Young Candelas to just try and force him off of this one. And with the kill to come through from the sides, never mind. He gets the opener. That's going to be a 1v1 now. Down to the last couple of seconds, holding on to the line here. He looks for the kill. He's just not going to be able to get it in. Instead, it's going to be Oreo. Very close indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Playing with your food pretty much for this one, Oreo. He scared him off, knowing that he's going to be able to win the round 1-5 to end off this first half. But WSP, they are still at a very significant advantage.
Yes, indeed, very significant advantage. And with this, ALG definitely left a mark on the play. One victory is needed now, need to carry this momentum with the last player making one big stand. That's definitely was huge, and quickly switching to the sidearm and taking on the player. Presence of mind as well, rather than going for the reload. A lot of things have been worked out on round number 6. Now 7 about to begin, and there's the pan phase with the switch. Let's see how aggressive WSP is going to approach the entire site.
We need to see where they're going to go with this one. WSP going in for a little bit more of a standardized pickup with the Ash, Maverick, and Twitch being taken away. And on the opposite side of ALG, maybe a little bit more on the comfortable side as well. Goyo, Bandit, Frost, Valkyrie, and Mute. Again, like in our region, it's all about that comfort. That's about playing the meta. But WSP, they seem to be going for a little bit more of those meta pickups as well, because the band ops are still in question as ALG. They're gonna instantly take away the hard breachers. Well, WSP understanding that, hey, if they're gonna start getting rid of hard breachers, there's no real use of us taking away the anti-breachers now, are there? You can play your Bandit, you can play your Kaid. It's not going to be that big of a problem for us. And even if it is a problem later on down the line, the Kaid could be there. And it seems as though a rehost has been called, as one of the players did disconnect. And ladies and gentlemen, R6 at its finest. Because at the prep phase, if you do have issues, you can call a rehost. And good God, I am not looking forward to it.
Hopefully, it should get sorted pretty soon. And yes, it's not new to us. So yeah, that would most likely be a rehost. I would expect in between. Let's see what the best situation out of this 3v5 and attempting for the same with the shotgun in play. One more kill. Seems as if WSP is not gonna go for it, and Vinci gonna be called out as well. So of course, this is quite common during the matches and during the situations. So it will definitely be a rehost. While it's said at the 4 feet, not exactly. The players getting disconnected happens to the best of us. What can we do about it?
And there's not really much that we could have done there, ladies and gentlemen, but it is what it is. You just have to move forward with it and just be like,
True.
hey, we just are playing R6, right? Without a rehost, without some power cuts, or without a long break and a couple of pauses, there's not really much that you can do here. Hopefully, the players are going to be able to jump on back onto the 1-5 scoreline as quickly as they possibly can. But it's understandable that they did not want to play out that round in particular just yet, because it's gonna be tough for you as an attacker to play a 4v5 going up against a team of their caliber. You don't know what to expect just yet. There's gonna be mistakes that could be made, and you don't want to give away any form of an advantage you could have had early on. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that each team is given the opportunity to rehost their game once in any particular map, and that does reset over onto the next map as well. So with this rehost already being called by the members of WSP, they're not going to be able to do that again if any form of interruptions to happen. But what I am going to be looking forward to is how the sidelines are going to be held by the members of ALG, because ALG have kind of proven to us that they make a lot of very easy mistakes and they don't really play together as a team. Their crossfire setups are not as you would have expected. Similar to what WSP are doing, WSP are very active in the way that they're taking their fights. They're always ready to go in for trades as well. They're not afraid to hold those tight pixel angles to go in for kills. While Allegiants are just a little bit too far off. They keep on making the same mistakes over and over again, and it takes them too long to adapt. And having that kind of a problem when you're on the defensive side, especially with such a huge deficit of rounds, can really start to catch up to you. Because don't forget, Santa, one round and it's instantly over for them because it's match point already. And at match point, the pressure starts to mount where if you're ever stuck in a 2v2 or a 2v1 situation, the person that is on that match point, they're going to be feeling the pressure the most.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have seen that happening a little while ago when they had the manpower advantage, particularly the 2v1 scenario where the person did a wrong peek around the door rather than, covering through the areas. That kind of like gave away a lot of advantage to WSP. And rather than saying an advantage, they were already positioned quite strongly. All that was needed was quick peaks and then to take the game further from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we connect back to the game, what I would request you is quickly go ahead and check out the socials, follow, and that's very much needed. Share the information with your friends so that more R6 action can happen. And the moment the next tournaments are here, you'll be notified about it. So, follow, subscribe, what is needed, and share the information. Fill up your coffee and popcorn because a lot of R6 action is in store for you. We casters will take a short break here. We will refresh and be back with the match.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, jump for the Rainbow Six Siege X Community Cup Season 3. And yes, I know that my cam is a little bit off-putting right now. Nothing to really worry about. That's going to get fixed up pretty soon. And we're going to be jumping straight down over into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing to really consider there, but one of the things that we do have to consider is what's happening to the members of ALG. We are now going to be going on back onto the defensive side here. The first round of this particular half, where WSP do have a 4-round advantage, but the real question will be whether they're going to be able to play this one out properly. They made a lot of mistakes. Put it, a lot of very rookie mistakes. Is a bit of a better word for it. Because ALG, they haven't really been playing together as a team, and their basics of Siege has been
Defenders,
quite
protect your bombs
lackluster.
from being defused by attackers.
Yes, agreed, and that too being the attackers at this point. And while ALG has picked Night Haven, so that's their home ground, and still they are struggling a lot. So that itself shows a lot, and tells a lot as well. WSP definitely made a mark on the play, and they are so close by just one more step needed, and that's it. The winner takes all on this particular map, and then we have to move on to the next. Now, what Allegiance is gonna do is gonna get unleashed on this particular one. Being the defenders, if it can make or break the situation, also remains as a question. There's a lot of play to be done. They have 3 C4s to work with. That's quite interesting. So let's go some boom boom.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to witness whether or not these C4s are really gonna be the difference maker for them. Like, there's a lot of teams that really pick up on the C4s because they understand that, hey, having these C4 charges just adds to a little bit of oomph to our overall defense. But just one side of the coin. So
Yes,
after
that's true.
worry, and because setting up those seats always a little bit of a problem for them. Overall, though, the plays really come for them. Take it slow, take it, because there's been a lot of instances, I would say, where the ALG are good, maybe a little bit too passive overall hold. You can tell that Spartan's taking a bit more of an active approach in this particular round, where he's playing towards the cafeteria wall. He's trying to be as aggressive as he possibly can. Also, to flush out one onto this angle, but with the meeting room now being taken over by the IQ, they're trying to hunt down this one Valkyrie. Knows the exact position of her as well. Over onto cafeteria. They do get that's going to be a huge pick-off right off the bat.
Yes, indeed. WSP moving in with an aggressive stance. One quick peek, no damage on either front.
That's four down.
Desmond quickly backing out, while Melacron on the other front, yes, held a area. Not gonna hold for long. That's
Good
a
shot,
misstep
Desmond.
indeed. Why is the question? When you knew that it was the damage that's gonna happen, let's not do that again, and particularly not at this juncture. When WSP has gained such a huge lead, and the upside down configuration not gonna work, Spartan can get into trouble over here. Desmond definitely had the upper hand. 5-1 onto the name. Just one more needed. A quick peek. No denials at this point, and the charge. Oh, that's worked in the favor. Disciple as well took a bit of the damage,
Logic bomb.
but still standing tall. I don't think Phoenix can
Also
be saved.
big. That is so big. They're going to be able to get the hack over onto all of the cams. The Valkyrie cams are still up and inside of the side as well. That's going to be a huge blow to the information game for the members of WSP if they need to bring their own cams for this one. Spartan in towards the back. He's going to try to work his way in from the sidelines. Good kill from Desmond, being the boogeyman on for this one. Phoenix does though at the end of the day shuts down Desmond in the process, but look at the amount of information that they're able to find. They're easily able to get these kills. Noob good for the first initial opener, looking for the last, and he's going to be able to get it. A double kill for Noob. Kicking off, ladies and gentlemen. This is the power of WSP. As soon as they break in, they are not going to be stopping for a singular second, and Desmond, he was the instigator for all of it.
Oh yes, indeed. And that, you know what, he was so low on health and still made it further. Did not leave any room for the opponents to get comfortable. And here comes Kirby, the one that I really feel fear about. So they are bringing in the aces right on the last one. And with Twitch in play along with Striker, Buck and Maverick, I can definitely see the annihilation factor moving in from
Attackers need to
WSP.
locate and defuse
Now
as many
again the
bombs
question
as they
remains,
can.
ALG, are you prepared for this run? Can you stop the match point from being converted?
Very, very difficult to the very least too. I do believe that with the basement side also getting picked up, pretty good
Yeah,
read
true.
on this too. The Maverick's
Hmm.
gonna be there to open up any of these walls that are present from the members of Ace well. And if they have troubles with the hatches, the Maverick can easily take it over too. And this is coming out from understand that hey, utilizing the Mavericks, we can
10 seconds
easily
left before
break into
insertion.
a lot of these very difficult choke points. So we don't really need to ban any of these entry denial operators. Tell that WSP they're playing Siege like we played here in this particular year, right? They're utilizing a lot more nifty tricks that people have found over time. They're relying on the good old strategies. Really been giving them a lot more of that advantage. They're well versed in the new forms of Siege, while ALG, they're a little bit too old school, and yeah, being old school is good in certain ways, but in the current meta of Siege, it's just something you can't really rely on.
Agreed, agreed. Have to change things a little bit around and got to get it done. Now, I'm waiting for that move to happen. Baccinator on the other front with the FAMAS in play has been quite phenomenal. And here comes the breach. Checked out the corners and working along with the intel. The drones have moved in. Yes, the camps have to make it, and who gets the best remains. But meanwhile, working around the peaks, ALG trying their best of the best, but so far not that huge.
The week's not gonna happen just yet. They're gonna need to play this one slow. It's trying to be utilized magically where this Mozzie's gonna be hiding. Oreo in a pretty tough corner instantly. They're gonna be able to run the flash coming along the lines. That's gonna be Buckinator with an F2, mind you, on a Twitch. Now that is a little bit of a rise. Buckinator does take the fall for that one though. And it will be Macron who does go in for that kill. But now, so take it easy. Both sides, they understand they're getting a little bit too close for this overall engagement to work out in their favor. Spartan, good for the opening kill. Over towards one. 3v1 now. Make it a 3v3. Low on HP. Two players for the side of ALG. But Milacron is still going to be able to be the one to deal the damage, be the opener for the team. They're able to take it down over to the 2v2. Grim still alive and kicking. Possibly going to be able to utilize the gadget to give them a tiny little bit more space to play around with. Vertical lines aside, Desmond, good for Rifle though, good for another kill. And now it's all down to the 1v2. Both players low on HP. Vinci gets this one down, but with only 40 seconds left on the clock, the entire world is pretty much against him. It technically is a 3v1 because don't forget that the is the sixth defender.
A lot in play, and just with Spartan and Solitude left out, and that too not a lot. Not a lot, and meanwhile Vinci walks in with the bangers. No time to work with Solitude. You got to get it and have to move in. Waiting for that movement, but 10 seconds on the clock, and that's it. Here comes the final.
That is
And
such a good
you know
drone
what?
too. He played
Yeah.
it so smart. The fact that he plays the drone right on the front, he can just do whatever the hell he wants now in the angle, peeking out. He's in for the kill, and that is WSP, ladies and gentlemen. That urgency, the moment you know that, hey, I have a goddamn drone in my hands. He tosses the drone, lets his teammate be like, just watch my head. You know if he pushes me. That is so smart from the members of WSP.
Oh yes, indeed. Won't stop peaking. Did not leave any room to work with on the other front. Desmond, Vinci, Disciple, Cobra, Buckinator. They made them out always been a sucker for the stun gun, and that covers. Okay, an equalizer, a 4v4 situation. I think that Solitude might get into trouble, but meanwhile, Buckinator as well contributing a lot more. Ooh, that happened.
Yeah, they got some good space going for themselves. It seems as though a little bit of a technical hiccup, but we are now back, ladies and gentlemen. Jumping on into this particular round, you can already tell that there hasn't really been a singular instance where And we are now back here, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe there was a slight technical hiccup there. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, as we didn't really, talk for that one. But I already saying that the members of WS are in full control for all of this. There hasn't been a singular instance where they have not been the ones to really drive through a lot of these rounds, especially with so many being made by ALG, pressure being applied as well. They were smart in the way that they took the overall approach, and with the vertical lines aside that they played for, even the walls that they broke through, all had purpose. And having purpose on every one of these fights just gave them such a significant advantage. ALG just didn't really have a better read on the map as a whole, and they're, even though they're micro, maybe on the same level.
Once that's done, we'll have the score. There we go. Solitude with 6. The top fragger from the team, Oreo and Spartan with 4 each, Phoenix with 1. And yes, not to forget what Milacron has done with 5 amazing ones. But on the other front, Vinci was the disruption factor with 10, then Buckinator with 9, Desmond with 8, Disciple with 6.
Yep.
And I am noob, not so noob. While 5 deaths, but those S's, man, that's where it was kind of like a big time change. Along with Desmond as well, 4 assists on the board. I am noob, definitely not noob for sure. 5 kills for him. So it's entirely a team contributing factor, but the numbers are speaking for themselves.
Absolutely. And they also played so well together as a team. Yeah, that's as you stated. He didn't really have as many kills as his teammates, but when he did get those frags, it was constantly one of those impact frags. Like at the very end of the round, he got those 2 kills onto the players that were coming into the command center from the main entrance. It was beautiful to watch because the way that IMNU played, he played for the team, and I can't really say the exact same thing that would be on the side of ALG. Hopefully, moving forward onto that next map, they're going to have a little bit more urgency in the way that they play, maybe take a bit more of an initiative for the overall fights that they're trying to as well. They're making
So, yes, indeed, that's the play so far that we have observed, and WSP was quite prepared for the match. So they came with a plan, they implemented it. The time jump into the next set of action that's gonna happen in the map of border, and I'm quite excited for the map because 2 reasons. Number one, while ALG picked Night Haven, WSP took the lead. Now if that's the kind of pattern that's going to continue in the map of border, so I can expect ALG for a victory. Whether WSP will allow that to happen, particularly border being their home ground, remains as a question. So let's wait for the map to begin. Meanwhile, what I request you is to go ahead and follow the socials for the organizers and for the sponsors. Show some love. Also, fill up your coffee and popcorn because in Border, there's gonna be a lot of explosive play. Me, Santa, along with Aggressive, gonna take a short break. We'll refresh and be back with a lot of action.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the CGX Community Cup Season 3, ladies and gentlemen. And it seems as though I'm still pixelated as all hell, but nothing really that we can do about it here. But what we can do, ladies and gentlemen, is bring you a lot more of the action here in front of your screens today. Because that last game in particular was a little bit more of a whitewash, right? Like when we were thinking about it, because we expected so much more to happen from this side of Allegiance, but Allegiance just really couldn't mount up much on that particular map. They made a lot of mistakes. It was a huge problem for them. Order, though, now finally getting picked up and ready. Hopefully, it's going to be a little bit more of a better look for them. But from what we witnessed, Allegiance, they're the ones who picked up on Night Haven Labs or that first initial map. So going into the home grounds of WSP, are they going to be able to do anything here? It's going to be tough.
No more Valkyrie cams in the play. That's quite interesting. So there was a time and phase where I used to see like Solace and Dokebi. They were like quite common bands, but now comfortable with the Dokebi play. Hibana in the place, Jaeger, Goyo, Castle, Frost, and Aruni on the other side. And gonna go in with Twitch Ace, Hibana, Dokebi, and Zofia. Interesting competition from both the ends, and WSP with the victory on the prior map. Of course, they will take the momentum further, is what I anticipate. Would they do so or not? Here comes the answer through the play.
Really need to wait and see where this is going to go for them too. But
Attackers
the
need
way
to
that
locate and
WSP
defuse
has been
bombs.
playing on a lot of their games, they're just a couple of steps ahead of their opposition. And this is what's going to keep on happening in this particular map as well. These are not going to get any easier. What we are going to be withstanding, though, is first initial hold coming through for side of things, because the way that the Dokupi has generally been played here for the members of WSP, it's still going to be a pretty significant advantage for them. Plus, with Cobra now being
Bomb
put
located by
into the
attackers.
lines for the
10
members
seconds
of
remaining.
WSP, Cobra is another big player that we cannot really forget about, because he's a very old name here in the R6 community, and he has a lot of people and a big following around him for that very particular reason. This guy is very difficult to try and get a hold of, and when he's on the map in a good game, very few players can even stand in front of him. So overall, the members of Allegiance, they did have a pretty good opportunity to take map number 1 when he was not playing, but in map number 2, if Cobra has a good day, it's not going to be any easier. So this is the full roster of WSP that Allegiance are now going to be going up against, but given the chance, they still should be able to do quite a bit here. Bravo will get taken onto the board. Disciple already with the first opening kill over the face of the Aruni. That's a powerful getting taken off almost immediately. And if you lose an Aruni this early, a lot of the rotation plays or even a couple of the cheeky spots that you can play from instant getting taken away for them, it's not going to be looking that good. But for the overall setup, they do have a pretty good over-the-top-down view of what's going to be happening here, with all of the attackers now opening up quite a couple of those walls, logic bombs in hand to make these entry, and the members of the Legions scrambling around, just trying to find any sort of avenue that they can stand in and try to mount up a good defensive hold.
Mount up the defensive line and take it further. One peek is all that's needed. Already know the position. A quick check, but a bit of flash that happened. Not in the favor. And ALG, that's in a troublesome matter. Goes down just like that. No room left out by Dasmond one more time. And it's Vinci that's gonna go for another frag. That's a Buccaneer and a quick wall. And as expected, Vinci got the best out of it. No room to work with. We already said it, and it's happening. It's their home ground, and WSP, they are on the prowl.
They're trying to work their way in for a lot of these, but the last particular round really wasn't the best of spots for them here. WSP, they're making almost zero mistakes in the last round in particular. Just corralled the defenders in towards the corner. ALG just kept on giving space away after space, giving away fountain control, even launch control like that. Just cannot happen that way. Yeah, you lost out on the entirety of the CCTV room, but
Attackers
I
need
mean,
to locate and defuse as many bombs
losing
as they can.
security is one thing, but to give it up so quickly, you can't really have something like that. You need to drop position as much as you possibly can. The Echo will be taken here just to get information in this particular round, though. But as long as this Echo put it out, IQ will not be taken onto the board, because don't forget, IQ is one of those key operators to have, not just to counter the Valkyrie, but also to shut down any ops that could be sitting on their cams for way too long. And not really going to be
10
picked up
seconds
just
left
yet. I
before
don't think they
insertion.
spotted out the Echo being on the map, but as long as these Dokubi calls are also there, they're still going to be in a pretty good position.
Good reinforcements is in place, and as soon as they identify the position, that's where you can turn it into your favor. Meanwhile, WSP moving in quite aggressively. With the FAMAS in play, Buckinator has made that mark, and on the other front, you saw what Disciple has done. He has that opportunity. I'm expecting couple of quick two frags. And Allegiance, are you ready for those is the question. The Claymore in play, but I don't think that corner would be covered. A quick check, and here we can expect the charge making the play. Yes, indeed, the drone gonna... I didn't see any that corner, so I'm not gonna expect a heavy set of retaliation. Oh, it is there. It is there. And can you go for it? Allegiance on the other front, they're gonna go for the C4, but most likely chances the quick frags, the quick denials. Disciple walks in with the SMG play. It did it earlier and does that again. Oh, dismantling the entire team one after the other. It's Melacron along with Solitude in the play. Not gonna be that easy. Melacron gets the best out of Disciple. Gonna go for one more. That's a quick peek and a denial. Yes, indeed, it's a 2v2. Seems as if Allegiance has woken up, but it's against Cobra and Buckinator. Cobra takes a bit of damage, but Solitude as well, slightly low on health. Not a lot of time to work with, and Cobra! Oh my goodness, man. We saw the angle of approach, but I didn't expect that, that would be like quick frags. Wow, indeed. WSP definitely making their domination, particularly when it is their home ground. And yes, one more time with Nomad, the KB Sledge Ace in Twitch. Let's go.
Very high progressive composition being run by the members of WSP. They're not anything out for chance, especially with the Sledge being utilized out on any of the vertical lines of sight that could be created. I'm pretty sure that as soon as it's armory and lockers, they're not going to be playing this Sledge for any particular instance for this
Attackers
side.
need to
But
locate and defuse as many bombs
overall,
as they
like
can.
that last round was just one for the books too, because WSP, they didn't brute force their entry towards the side line, put the plan down, and that perfect lines of sight ready. That on the bus position from Cobra is just impossible to clear. You as an attacker, if you can get into that and get the plan down, there's nothing in this universe that the defenders can do unless they can tuck themselves straight in towards the bomb chassis almost immediately before you get the setup. And generally, that is not a position you want to play in a 1v1 or 1v2 scenario. You want to take that spot when you are guaranteed to have that second player close by just in case they get themselves onto that chassis. And the way that WSP has been playing, they always have an advantage. They always have a game plan. They have a post-run situation in mind that they want to for as well. And this is so smart. They're playing the game as if it's 3D chess. They're 3 or 4 steps ahead of their opposition, and that's giving them such a significant edge on a lot of these rounds. WSP, though, in particular, now what do they want to do here? Because they are going in for something a little bit more simplified. Spoilers will get taken. Of course, you have the Ace, and of course, the Dokubi is just constantly beaten. I keep on telling this to everyone that Dokubi has to be the strongest op in the entire game on the attack side for a very valid reason. Cobra does fall in this particular instance, but being able to take out the dog this early on in a round to deny him any of those sim packs, this is going to be hurtful.
Gonna be definitely tough. Meanwhile, the play moving on, and AFG gonna go for the stand. That's a good placement, but I don't see any intel being gathered out of it. So the verticality might work in the favor, trying a different approach. Here comes the grenade here. This is gonna be a sneaky play. Gonna see who's gonna fall for it. I don't think the timer would work in the favor. Meanwhile, WSP making the move further. Dismantling, and with this, a bit of position compromise, but the quick peek, that's going to be quite troublesome. ALG might get into a bind over here, but they as well held the fort. Quick couple of frags just around the corner.
You would have expected the player to just hold down on the breach, but no, he's made a rotation over towards the other entrance. It's Vinci, who does get the opener, does put the cam on towards the flank here almost immediately just to catch any of the players. Rooney trying to go in for the kill, not really going to be able to find that, swarmed out from multiple positions, swaps over to the secondary to try and deal some damage, not going to be able to find out much. In position, up and ready, Disciple with the SMG-12 just shredding through the opposition in a matter of seconds. And this is just WSP for you, ladies and gentlemen. They just won't stop peeking.
Won't stop peeking. That in itself, I mean, I should have understood the moment I read the name. They are not gonna leave that room. So Melacron, Buckshot joining into the lineup with Spartan, Oreo, and Solitude. They have already made the mark. They tried. So let's see with the addition if ALG can get something out of the situation. On the other front, we saw Vinci, Buckinator, Desmond, the Disciple, and Cobra being Cobra time and again. They have done it for the team. Already 3 rounds onto their name, just 3 more is all that's needed, provided if ALG can stop them.
Let's see what they're gonna go with this one. But one of the other bigger factors that we have to consider too is WSP. They've been quite dominant in their overall approach. That kind of dominance is also getting the heads of their opposition. But another one of the big factors that we need to consider too is WSP has been in a lot of these fights really in a different mindset of their own.
Attackers have
Making
discovered the location
they've been
of a
making
bomb.
some mistakes that ALG can really catch up on. And I do believe that one of the bigger mistakes has to be their over-aggressive nature. And ALG to start taking a lot more active deals together as a team instead of as individuals. Their trade game has been a little bit far off because they're in a bit of a problematic scenario, but overall, it's still take it easy, but seems as though a possible rehost could happen in the following round, but we don't know it just yet.
Hopefully reconnect. That should avoid any further delay. Meanwhile, Desmond take a little bit of damage. Can sustain though. Don't see the talk, so possible scenario for WSP to. I'm expecting ALG to get these couple of frags over here. Earlier they attempted. Oh no, Disciple not gonna make it happen. And that too over. Oh, Melacron and Cobra following it. One more. And just like that, the prior round. And it's kind of like a repeating scenarios for WSP making the marks and ALG kind of falling for the same. One more about to move in. No more. The jam is intact. And with this, the time factor got to make it done. And WSP moving in quite confidently and aggressively. Looks as if they are going to back the round.
They're trying to make the push out as well, but that's going to be a big kill over from their sideline too. ALG finally firing back on a couple of cylinders here to try and stop the members of WSP from taking full control, but Disciple just keeps on giving every single time. This guy's names are on our lips for a reason, because he is the dominant one for this particular game, this particular series in general, because this has always been delivering on that rim now, in a good position to instantly stop these defenders from trying to go in for an over-aggressive push of their own. Angles are good, positions are better. They can drop down from the hatch pretty much for free if they can clear out a little bit on what the drones are able to see here. Rooney in a bad position to try and stop this one from happening. But overall, little bits of spam here, giving away the position out already. They need to take the entry. That's going to be the first smoke already being given away. And they're now going to be risking it. Plan to go down almost instantaneously, and the play is present.
With the trap set and that kind of work, Buck slightly in trouble. Yes, indeed, gonna lose a lot over here. Spartan might go for the rescue. Yes, they did. Don't want to lose a manpower advantage, but Disciple get done for the team. All that's needed is a quick peek, and Spartan in a troublesome corner. It's a 1v3, and Spartan being Spartan. Can you get Buck in it as well? Meanwhile, the counter and the time not in their favor. Attempted and heavy amount of damage, but still got the kill out of it. Bucking it to the last one standing move again. We've seen the deadly angles, but seems as if this is not going to work in the favor. Oh, that's a well-timed attack. Last 6 seconds. Oh, bucking it gets the best out of it. They tried the best with the utilities, and this is the first time I have seen some pretty good strategy. And a flawless victory indeed.
Oh, they accidentally. That explains it.
I saw the match point. I got slightly confused.
Yeah, that kind of just threw us off, but that's completely fine and dandy, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be rehosting this lobby out as quickly as we can here, get us back onto the Pro League settings as well, and it seems as though I'm as pixelated as ever. Don't know why, don't know for what particular reason, but hey, we're here to go through it all.
So while this happens, let's take a short break and we'll be back with the next set of action.
are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the CGX Community Cup Season 3, organized by Fragnation. After a very short little break, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And hey, my face is no longer pixelated. Let's go. We are fixing all the problems at a record-breaking pace. We left off at a 4-0 scoreline going in the favor of WSP. We're now got in the rehost. We got the proper settings in this time around, ladies and gentlemen. Extremely sorry for all of the inconveniences that we did have for the lobby setup, but now that we are jumping on back in towards the game, let's see what the setup is going to look like from the opposite side of things. We're going to be jumping on down straight in towards the game, ladies and gentlemen, just to pick up from the action of where we did leave off. And with ALG not really being able to mount up a proper setup and come back just yet, I want to know what they're going to be able to do, how the setups are going to look like, how they're going to be able to build on their overall game plan and strategy, because a lot of the mistakes being made by ALG have been very basic, and at the same time, they're just too afraid to take a lot of these active fights because WSP are getting a lot of the space that they want for the stack side for free. And on Border, taking space for free is one of the biggest no-nos that you could have.
Agreed completely with you, and I see a bit of change with Bandit walking in along with
Attackers need to
Diego and
locate
the
and
other
defuse
setup
as many bombs as they can.
to break the score of 4-0. Forget about equalizing, they got to get it done quite faster. And being the defenders, go take the fight is what's needed, because that's what WSP did on the prior map, while they being the defenders. Still, they showed their aggressive stance, and that kind of like derailed the entire momentum. And yes, pretty basic mistakes. I have to agree with my aggressive over here. And with that being in place, how exactly they are gonna get it done rests in the hands of the players. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, right into the round. So the beginning, this is where it all kind of like boils into the situation. Solitude quickly moving in, a quick set up. Seems as if this might make a little bit of play for the team, and a more play in as well. 4-0 being the scoreline, it's high time for ALG to wake up and get it done for the team. Quick mother holes being created, a lot of peaks, and yes, the outer being covered as well, not leaving any room for the others to walk in. And WSP, all that they are waiting is for the initiation.
Now jumping on back in towards the game here, ladies and gentlemen, already the small bouts of mistakes that were being made by the members of ALGS will get tested to its fullest. Claymore is already placed out. They have full control over on the East corridor. This is something that should not happen. Why does the Zofia have full control over on the main hallway? He steers himself on. Ladies and gentlemen, they're being grounded into a corner once again. They're dropping bodies left and right. Finally, a couple of trades do come through. Player now stuck in towards the side of Fountain, and Vinci still trying to go in for that kill. Does have the C4 in hand to just cause even more pressure and problems over from the sidelines, but look at the positioning that they have to deal with. Zero giving away info, goes in for the shots, not going to be able to find the kill. Going to be able to reposition themselves. Don't be called to just cause even more pressure, but Disciple finally takes a back seat, or from the sidelines, but Vinci able to find the trade, looking for even more. One close towards the right-hand angle. Vinci, he's not really expecting it, and as long as that position is going to be a problem for them, he's not gonna be ready for that fight. But instantly the trades do come through. Buckinator's gonna be able to take out another one. Finally, the signs of life that we were expecting from the members of ALG are coming through, and now it's all up to the Arudi. Sparta does have the chance. He has all the angles to give for this, and will he be able to get this clutch? Though it's gonna be an even more of a bigger question.
Desmond on the other front, they held the photo. Oh, a quick peek. Already has the advantage. Spartan held the better angle. Now how exactly you're gonna flush out the player? No more utility. The Claymore, I don't think that's gonna work at this point. Tried, attempted. No more splash damage. Wow, indeed. Connections, one after the other. I think Desmond was running for the play. It did not have any room to work with. So yes, of course, there's the first victory in this particular map in the Marble border. Now, the similar scenario happened in Night Havens as well, and they couldn't capitalize it. But at least now, if they could, there could be a little bit of redemption for the team.
This is gonna be a very, very difficult to say the very least. And finally, the members of ALG are showing some life in them. Remember what I said? It's about getting those active trades going for their entire team, playing close together, really punishing what WSP are trying to do. They want to peek out, they want to take through. That's completely fine. Play based upon the information. And one of the bigger question marks I would say is, why in the name of God did
Attackers need to locate and defuse
they tried to break that one camp for so long, and then one camp got at least like what, 3 of their players killed trying to fight into it. I guess it's just the reality of the situation, right? If you want to get something done that badly, they're gonna make a couple of mistakes for it. WSP really taking the back seat for that one, but overall, not really the end of the world just yet for them. What I am kind of worried about is how the adaptations are going to look like now, because WSP, they were fooling around in that last round. You could tell they were making very, I would say, questionable plays overall, especially bringing that Zero onto the board. Yeah, Zero is generally a good op to have on your team, but his cams are very easily spotted out in comparison to the Valk cams that you generally have on the defensive side. And ALG have yet to really mount a possible comeback just yet. If they do get this round, get it up to a 4-2 half, they have a pretty solid chance to make it work on the attack side. But knowing how WSP like to play on the defensive end, the way they manipulate the timer, especially by going aggressive and then slowing down all of a sudden, it's always a difficult one to fight.
Quick rotations is what I see, and they are approaching quite cautiously rather than earlier. A bit of aggressiveness at the same point of time, calculated approach. Cobra took a bit of damage, so being a bit cautious there though. But Vinci gets the best out of it on Spartan off the mark, and ALG stand his blow. Buck has to move in. His replacement from the prior map. Now, have to see if he can stand tall, but knows his Desmond to solve.
How?
Just like that,
Wait,
one after the
how?
other.
Deploying Claymore.
Why even Santa? Not like this. Stop giving them so many presents.
Auto breacher deployed.
Angles, my bro, angles. But yet, we saw that ALG. Come on, you can do it.
Air trap in position.
Disciple one more time, and the last one standing. The Lacron goes down. Vinci for the play with the sidearm. Quite phenomenal so far. Oh my goodness, man. One after the other. And here we go. Just a step closer. Just one step closer. And with the switch, have to see how exactly the game is gonna move further. I'm expecting much more explosiveness. It's been quite phenomenal so far. And welcome back to this. He's in Valkyrie band already, okay.
Not really that big of a surprise though. You want to take out both of these off, especially on the map of Border. On Border, if you have a Valkyrie, that one hallway from east stairs is just impossible to break into as an attacker. There is no way. There's one particular Valkyrie cam that watches both the east stairs corridor and the entirety of CCTV just from one singular position, and it's impossible to break unless you take over the balcony on the opposite side of east stairs, and that is a death trap for almost anyone who tries to cross into that spot. So overall, taking out the Valkyrie early, not that big of a surprise. Again, hard breachers instantly getting banned out by the members of Wont Stop Peeking because they understand the meta in our region. Take away the hard breachers, they can't break through the walls anymore. They have to use exothermic charges, and when you use exothermic charges, you need to vault in through. And whenever you are trying to vault in, you make a lot of noise, and it makes it very easy for the defenders to come in and go in for kills. They know the meta, they understand the playstyle, and they're just going to keep on trying to force it out.
So in other words, it's like a play written for WSP, and if ALG can make it, break it, or change it,
Attackers need to
have to
locate
be
and
seen.
defuse as
But
many
so
bombs
far,
as they can.
it's entirely into the favor of WSP. 5 victories with 1 loss. And looking at the way they are making their stand so far, it's to the match point. It's almost to the match point. But it'll still be slightly, onto the favor of ALG. I want them to get 1 more victory, or probably 2 more. And if it can move towards an equalizer, I'm not that sure. But if they can make it, it can be one of
10
those
seconds
matches.
to go.
Absolutely. Have to make this one work. Play for the long game. Play it smart. Play it steady here. The members of WSP are looking for the engagement here overall early enough. As ALG, they're trying to run around to the different spots to try and build up upon this. One player close to the main entrance, though. Wait a minute, who's just chilling there on the opposite side of... I forgot the name of that spot. God damn it, dude.
Even I'm unable to recall it right at the moment when it is needed. The drone for the play. And here goes a couple of feet could be exposed.
Customs!
And one.
Oh yeah, customs! God damn it, my brain was like thinking, where was that position? It was in customs, yeah. Your player was that close on customs and then Monty's in the building. Wait a minute! Monty's already in! That's big for them. They can possibly go in for a plan straight up on towards the admin office.
So let's hope so. Monty can make the situation and get those frags. But the entry, it's not going to be that easy. The shield in play, of course. Troublesome matter for sure. WSP is prepared for the same. And yes, I do see one C4. Come on, man. Come on. Get it done. I'm waiting for from quite some time. I've seen only one so far. And don't just chuck it on the shield.
Should be the ones to do it. Yeah, that's the player on workshop already being shut down here. The amount of pellets will get shot out here quite early. They're trying to get the catch over onto these players in particular, as the Yang Candelas will be thrown out just to try and stop them from going in for any form of push. Desmond, good for the opener kill over towards the first. Desmond, though, is going to be the game changer for this entire play because those Yang Candelas can cause so many problems as long as that Warden is alive and kicking. That is big for them. They're not going to be able to get this plant out for free. 4v3 now across the entire map. You lost some of the Yang Candelas, and that's going to be a huge problem for you to find. A lot of the angles have been opened up. Gridlock's positioning given away. Vinci in a good spot. He's trying to take the fight. And he does have such a good angle to play for. All the members now stuck in towards the side of these stairs. And the Monty can't really go in for this plant for free. He doesn't even have the diffuser on him. Never mind. What do you mean go in for a plant? It's just not going to work. They're in a tough spot. It doesn't matter where they turn or where they go. The plan is there, but the members of ALG are not going to be able to execute it.
Quite troublesome matter indeed. WSP well prepared though. No Solitude can get into trouble. Malacron on the other front making the room. Not getting the opportunity to move further. And Monty, you have to make the move further. But he's been cornered out and Desmond, oh my goodness, has expected the blow. The big one, and it is the last with the diffuser. Just like that, falls for the trap. That too in the hands of Cobra. Wow, that C4. That C4 play. That entirely gave away the edge. And match point here, ladies and gentlemen.
Match point indeed. ALG just doesn't really have that much of an answer for the setups being given by Won't Stop Peaking. And it just comes based upon the experience too, right? You have a game plan. You have that understanding that, hey, I'm going to be utilizing the Ying to try and brute force that entry over onto the office side, maybe going for a free plan by utilizing the smokes. But the thing is, you're kind of forgetting another factor. You didn't ban out on the Warden. The Warden is still in play, and the Warden can be your biggest thorn on your side because the Warden can give out that calls that, hey, pull a C4 in the exact timing or in the exact position as they're trying to go for the plan, and it's just not going to be able to work. Whereas your glass, this is why a lot of players, when they're going in for a strat like this, instantly pick up on that glass so they can at least fight the Warden on the opposite side of those smokes, so the Warden can never get a peek for free or never can give intel for free for his teammates. WSP, they are really playing to their strengths and capitalizing again on the mistakes being done by ALG. These are very basic flaws that are causing them problems, and as long as that's the case,
10
it's
seconds remaining.
we're gonna be that simple. Kapkan already just running around being an absolute nuisance to society. He's gonna be able to catch a good amount of these players. Plus, that one Kapkan trap down next to that incendiary pipe can instantly one-shot a player if they try to cross through it and they don't destroy it entirely.
Yes, indeed, that's a good point and need to be kept in mind. 6-1 being the score. 5 rounds to equalize, not gonna be easy at all, particularly when at the verge of match point. I don't think WSP will leave it alone that easily. Malacron get into a troublesome position, but seems as if it's under control. But for how long? You have to make it move. But Monty in play last round, that didn't work out. They want to attempt for something different and need to be cautious at this juncture, I would say, because it's time that you need to do. Otherwise, it's a victory written for WSP. It's their home ground and they are the dominators as of now.
Yeah, you can tell that their strategies are a lot more well thought out. That is for certain. Vinci already close to the side of these stairs, trying to go in for something a little bit too, I would say, common for the overall strategy here, as Vinci still being an absolute nuisance here from the sidelines. Bucknator is going to be able to find two in the process. Two big kills to instantly shut them down and bring them back down to earth. One towards the top floor position. Vinci still going to be the one to find the kill. Down to a 1v4 now. It's all up to Spartan to try and go in for the big play, to try and keep their hopes and dreams alive in this entire tournament. Because don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, losing out here means getting stepped out of this entire tournament. And then you have to wait out for season number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, this is just season number 3. We still have one more season right around the corner for you guys back at home. And if you want to play here and play R6 at such a high level, make sure to download the game. And of course, meet all the expectations for the players as well, because currently Spartan, hopes and dreams now on your shoulders to try and go in for the big play for his squad. He does find a kill, but his position now revealed. The Capcan trying to work his way around, being a constant ping and a nuisance on the top part of the screen. GGWPs have already been called in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Won't Stop Peeking are so confident that they're going to be able to win this one. But Spartan, he's still going to try his hardest.
Oh, yes, indeed. Tried, tested, gets the job done over Cobra. It's a 1v2. Buckinator and Vinci. The deadly competition. DCO jumps in. That's the attack that I've been waiting for. Oh my goodness. Right in the middle of the air. Vinci for the play. Oh, look at that control. That was phenomenal as well as beautiful to watch. I hope it got clipped, and I believe it did. Desmond, Vinci, Disciple, Cobra and Buckinator getting the job done for the team. What a victory. What a victory for Won't Stop Peeking, who didn't stop peeking and got the job and the round, as well as moving further into the next ones.
It's always that big of a problem here, ladies and gentlemen. Something that you can't really control. It is what it is, right? You just have to be the one to try and question what your opposition is doing, but at the same time, if they're that dominant in their overall approach, if they have that much of a better understanding of how the map is generally being played out, there's not really much that you can do. You have to accept the fact that, hey, they're just a better team. And in this case, the members of ALG just didn't really have as much experience to go up against such a dominant force of Won't Stop Peeking. And Won't Stop Peeking have been a very common team as well back in the golden days of R6 in our region as well. They've always been there. They've been consistent. And you can tell that they have put in the hours on Rainbow Six Siege X as well. They know what the new metas are looking like. They know how to play it out properly as well. They know how to play aggressive too. And that knowledge really served them well here for this entire game.
Absolutely. Very well mentioned. Yes, that knowledge definitely served them well throughout the play. They covered the angles, they had the plan in place, and not just the plan, they maintained the timing and executed it properly when it's needed the most. There were few moments where I kind of felt like Allegiance would come back into the game. They got the play. Unfortunately, they couldn't control the situation from there on. Particularly when the first victory happened onto the name and the map of Night Havens, or be it the map of Border, I was under the understanding that they would take it further, they would carry out the momentum, but unfortunately they could not, and WSP stopped them on the tracks, and that laid the foundation towards this particular victory. So as we all know, it's like winner takes all sort of situations. So from this best of 3, it's kind of like a learning experience for Allegiance, and WSP is moving further, no lower brackets. So it's like one shot for the next play. So today we have seen a lot of explosive action in season 3 of this Community Cup from Fragnation. So look forward for more. If you haven't yet followed or subscribed, go ahead and follow and subscribe. Now, looking at the board, Spartan definitely the top fragger right along with Milacron. They got the best out of the situation, but was not quite enough from the others. So if the contribution was there, it could have been a different scenario. Again, if we say that, if this happens, that happens sort of scenario. So let's not get over that. Vinci on the other front with 13. The number curse has been laid on the opponents, of course, and with 9 for Disciple, oh my goodness. Cobra and Desmond, 6 each, along with Buckinator with 5, and fabulous contribution from Buckinator with 8 assists. Amazing gameplay from the entire team.
Absolutely. This is exactly what you want to see here, ladies and gentlemen. The gameplay and, of course, the overall setup being done by the members of WSP. And their dominance will pretty much bear its fruit here as they move on towards the grand finals, too. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget our first grand finalists have already been crowned here from their side. And hopefully, tomorrow we're going to be able to see who joins them there on that pedestal to see exactly who will be crowned the champions for season number 3 of the CJX Community Cup.
Yes, indeed, that's a question, and we are awaiting for the answer. And I am expecting some amazing play tomorrow as well. We already saw what happened today, so that itself is kind of an introduction for the tournament that's happening. And in the next seasons, of course, we can expect much more. Hence the reason why I said that follow and subscribe if you haven't yet, so that you get notified as soon as the notification is popped on. So let's see how that's gonna continue. And to talk about the current matches, okay, the matches that happened today. So it's quite a bit of learning experience for both the players, as well as even I learned a lot out of it. Aggressive has definitely mentioned a lot of very good points which needs to be implemented as fast as it can be, because if those are not corrected, okay, and if you move into the next tournament with the same kind of plan, particularly talking about Allegiance, who have fallen short on a lot of play. I mean, sorry to say so bluntly over here, wherein that is the truth, and that we have seen it. So they have to correct it. It's not just the plan that you move in, but how you implement it. And while doing that, Allegiance kind of fumbled a lot at times. We saw, particularly during the 1v2 situation, right around the kitchen bench, and it was like I was almost under the impression that it's kind of like an easy peasy pick off for the team to take it up, but it did not. So take it further. Aggressive match summary.
Yeah, the match summary is going to give us a little bit of a picture on what really happened for the entire game as a whole. And you can tell that the members of Legions just didn't really have that much of a showing here. Buckshot in particular just wasn't really able to do much at all in the entire matchup. In the 2 games that they did play, he only had 2 kills to give. 7 assists, though, to his name. He had the most assists in the entire lobby for his team in particular. So he was in the shadows, but Siege is one of those games that, yeah, you can be in the shadows, give a lot of support, but unless you're able to bring a couple of kills for your team as well when it really matters, it's just not going to be looking that good for you. While on the side of WSP, Vinci being an absolute dominant force, 23 kills to his name. Is that really that big of a surprise? No. And look at Cobra. Cobra, mind you, came in on the second map, and he has
Yes.
11 kills. That's what his dominance looks like.
Not just 11 kills, even talking about the SS, he provided the best, let it be through the numbers or not. Buckinator and Desmond both 14 each, 9 and 7 SS. Oh my goodness, it's entirely a team play that we have witnessed. So it's not just on the shoulders of a single person that's been carrying out the entire team. Of course, I have to mention Spartan here because he has done some phenomenal play and attempted a lot of times from the end of Allegiance, but it was not quite enough for the team to carry it further. Had it been the scenario that if Allegiance could have capitalized on that particular scenario, when Spartan went for the kills and kind of paved the path, it could have been a different map altogether. But then again, if we say that if that happens, this happens, then it's a lot of things that could have occurred.
Yeah, absolutely. We can just talk about what could have been the reality in another universe in a lot of different ways, ladies and gentlemen. But one thing that we do know is today was a tough loss for the members of Allegiance, and going back to the drawing board, hopefully they come back stronger in season number 4. There's still way more chances to be had here because R6 in the entire region of India and, of course, South Asia as a whole is not going to be over anytime soon. There's a lot more other teams that are really gunning for that number 1 spot. So we're here to give them that platform, that is for certain. If you guys want to join out on the platform as well, we have a bunch of events happening here at Fragnation, so make sure to check out all the links down below in the description. Make sure to follow all of our socials, and of course join the Discord as well to get notified on any events that we do have. We had a bunch of team competitions last time around. New events are going to be coming at any second. Showdown, where you're going to be playing 2v2 with your teammates as well. There's a bunch of stuff that will be given to the community, ladies and gentlemen. Ubisoft is doing everything from their side, and they're giving us the opportunity to present you with a lot of prizes as well. So make sure to check out all the links down below in the description. But for now, that's all that we do have for you for today, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you all for stopping on by for all of this Siege action. We're going to be seeing you tomorrow with a lot more. So make sure, again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and also hit that notification bell to get notified when we do go live. But for now, it's going to be real quite aggressive with Santa signing on off for the Siege X Community Cup Season 3 organized by Fragnation. We're going to be seeing you tomorrow with more action. Good night and happy gaming, everyone.